I'm Richard Rush. I directed a movie called The Stunt Man, starring an actor who, for me, defines the outer limits of the art of acting, Peter O'Toole. An equally brilliant young man in the title role, Stephen Railsback. And for the leading lady, Barbara Hershey. Every director's dream come true. I want to show you a wonderful scene that we shot for the movie that ended up on the cutting room floor. Actually, it was Barbara Hershey's finest work in the film. A climactic scene. It was the first scene that we wrote. A test, a prototype for what became the major structural device of the film. That in every scene, there must be some shift in attitude, new information that would make us peek at things through a different keyhole. Bending our perspective toward the characters. If you'd asked me during the writing, the shooting, or editing of the film, if there were a single scene that I would never lose, this would be it.
I come into the room one day, and she's in bed with
What's
Raymond.
exciting about her, what's unknowable about her, is also in excess what's just terrifying about her. You don't want to be involved with that, my God.
And I'm right. She's in bed with another...
Even though the scene reveals that you can't trust her.
With a man, another man, Raymond. She's in bed with this guy, and I can't...
Something about it made me know that she's human, and made me know that this could actually work between them.
I go crazy. I just cannot believe it. I start running through the...
She's telling him the truth. It's a hard truth to tell.
Going through closets, going through drawers, trying to find...
You know, that's why she says it so strong. I'm Raymond's lover, Raymond's lover. Write it down, sign it. You know, it's the truth. I'm telling you the truth.
What comes out of it is that she says to me, no, you don't have a right to come in here and tell me.
When I show you the real person, this is the package deal. The dream and the real, what's underneath the dream. And if you want to love me, you're going to love the whole thing.
The scene ends where I realize that I don't, or probably don't, have a right.
So, now, from the trim bin, we'll hopefully gain some novel insight from the scene that's never been seen.
Nina, the crazy Eli's.
Raymond.
See it beautiful? Goddamn. Oh! For Christ's sakes, don't step on the fish!
Get out of here. You get out or I'll have you thrown out.
Anybody in this whole goddamn crew you haven't screwed?
You stupid, ignorant bastard! How dare you storm in here like you won me in a raffle?
A girl gave me the key.
I'm not your girl. I'm that man's girl.
Son of a bitch.
That man and I have been lovers for 6 months. I have known you 2 days.
You didn't tell him about all that bawling we did last night.
Don't you dare be clever with me. He came scratching at the door tonight like some beaten dog, begging me to tell him that you were some 24-hour nonsense. And I had to tell him that I thought I was falling in love with you.
You could have said that with your clothes on.
God damn you! The big wounded stud, huh? He is entitled to some dignity. To lose his pure and faithful lover without the new boy barging in.
I don't have the right to get pissed off.
You don't have the right to breathe!
I knew him before I met you. Do you understand that? Before I met you. When we were frightened, we woke each other in the dark. We slept in each other's arms.
The word is fuck.
I am Raymond's lover! Raymond's lover! Raymond's lover! Say it! Raymond's lover! I am gonna have it typed up and notarized and you sign where it says agree!
You won't turn me into some rotten whore. Because your papa once told you that a woman's a certain way. And that's how it's gonna be. Till Gabriel blows his horn.
Look, I just want to sit here for a couple seconds. I don't want to say anything. Because if I start saying that, I'm sorry I caught you and Raymond fucking. And I'm going to start laughing. When I start laughing, I get the hiccups. It lasts for days.
Don't get hiccups.
Isn't anything what it seems?
No.
Don't you think that's kind of lousy?
Yeah.
That scene starts with a bang, ends with a whimper.
Starts with a bang.
And by the time it's over, we again realize that truth is a matter of the angle you happen to be watching from.
I felt that these two characters who came at each other with such ferocity and passion, if at the end of that they can smile at each other, then they've earned this. And it turned into a love story to me. Not something of him attracted to some dream girl or her attracted to some mysterious stranger, but two human beings who actually have seen each other. And to me, that's when real love starts.
It was a realization for this character, and it was a reaffirmation, in a sense, of his love for her and her love for him.
So why the hell didn't that scene stay in the movie? I was certainly pleased with the way it turned out, even more so with the stellar performances. Well, strangely, it seems to have triggered an odd, prudish reaction at all our test screenings. You know, an audience brings a lot of moral attitude into the theater with them, and it all becomes part of your story. Yeah, and once they found out Nina had gone to bed with Raymond, they simply gave up on the character. Yeah, man. I mean, that was it. We couldn't seem to win them back.
A lot of people have asked me, a lot of strangers after I've seen the film, and asked me, well, what did she see in him? What did he really see in her? I think the scene somehow, maybe not obviously or consciously, subconsciously would have answered that somehow. Well, they've been through something, you know?
When I reluctantly agreed to test the film without the scene in it, the preview numbers rose abruptly. This for me was tragic and dangerous because, you see, at the time we released The Stuntman, there was a lot of pressure to cut the film down. Studios wanted 5 shows a day, 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10 o'clock. That's maximum 1 hour and 50 minutes. 10 minutes to sweep up the candy wrappers. Shorter was better. Yeah, more time to sell the popcorn. We ran 2 hours and 14 minutes, tough sell. I had final cut, but with a time limit of 2 hours and 10 minutes. Nowadays, the major award-winning films run well over 2.25, even 2.5 hours. What can I say? We were ahead of our time. My preference was to leave the scene in. But a director carries a weird load of baggage. Artistic obligations, fiscal obligations, and the obligation to win and amuse his audience. I hope that now, some years later, audiences have grown more worldly, or at least perhaps a bit more jaded, and their verdict would be different.
As if an American audience doesn't want to feel, and there's something negative about feeling. I mean, it's like certain emotions are allowed. You can feel fear in a movie, you can feel excitement. They'll let certain ones through. But the things that actually touch us or get near us or might actually be threatening to us and make us think and feel ourselves, they're very afraid of in America, generally, not the artists struggling to do those things, and I don't know if it's really in European. I think it's just that they're allowed to do it, and they've given the audience a chance to get used to participating in that way. I'm not sure, I'm maybe naive and romantic, but I tend to think that audiences can rise to it if we give them the chance. And you know, if you feel bad or confused, that's part of being alive, you know, as well as the other stuff, which I equally enjoy.
Mystical, transcendental connection?
Yeah!
Well, then don't ask me, ask the actor.
No, Richard Rush is not Eli Cross.
Satisfied, Bart?
In terms of relating to Eli Cross, yes. I mean, it's so obvious. Richard's not insane, but there is something in him that pushes him to an extreme that I've never seen in anybody. Richard, in writing, I mean, I see Richard all over the script. The irony of Richard, the things that come out of his mouth. Richard has a tenacity that is just unbelievable, and it's definitely reflected in Eli Cross.
They're, in a lot of ways, a lot alike. Richard is a brilliant director, and a great director is a great manipulator. I think I got 3 working days off in a 17-week schedule. We worked 6-day weeks most of those, so I got 3 working days off. But I couldn't wait to get on the set the next morning because I knew something creative and something exciting was going to happen. And Peter felt the same way. All the actors felt the same way. The whole crew felt the same way. This crew would have killed for Richard.
Eli Cross is a very manipulative character, but he did wonders for his actors. It looked like his actors obviously cared about and trusted him. I'm curious, would you like to be directed by someone like an Eli Cross?
No, he wouldn't last a minute.
No.
No.
Why?
I don't like being manipulated.
Richard would have Peter do certain things sometimes, and I know this now. And the paranoia was extreme, so in order to stay in character, I mean, I would use things. I mean, Richard would have, I remember there was one point that Richard had Barbara sitting on Peter's lap when they were doing a close-up of me. And they were doing these things, and it was getting me so angry. But I was letting it get me angry. Even though I knew Richard had set this up, the paranoia was so a part of this character.
Did you actually take part in that then? A little bit.
Not that I'm aware of.
Ah.
There again, I may have been manipulated very subtly.
The scene in the film where, by accident or by design, Eli Cross shows shots of you in bed. Shocking scenes to your parents.
Right.
To make things worse.
He chooses to tell you right at that moment where you are actually required to give a very deep emotional response.
Maybe it's them. I feel like I'm in my parents. I feel like I'm in a zoo. Let me say bye, and get on their way, and maybe it might be okay with them.
Oh, there's one thing you should know. I don't know, it's not important. It's completely unimportant. But there was a screw-up in the dailies.
What dailies?
Well, the attic scene, the bare-assed attic scene. Yes. Well, that was shown in dailies. I don't know how it got there, and I couldn't stop it, but your parents. Now. Shady.
Would you as an actress appreciate a director doing that to you and giving you that emotional response?
I would hate it, because to me, people treat actors like they're children, and that's sort of saying to me, you can't get this emotion without me manipulating you, like you would a little kid maybe. I feel as a professional actress that it's up to me to find it in me, to bring the emotion. Now, if for some reason I can't, Nina in that scene couldn't. She was blocked, her parents are there watching. If I couldn't, then if a director manipulated me and broke me through, I would thank him. I really would. I think Nina had some really important help at that moment, and you know, would probably curse him all the way up to the podium to get her Academy Award and then really thank him.
If it were impossible to achieve that particular emotion, if a trick would help, yes, I can understand a little bit of manipulation, yeah. And I would probably do it, or accept it. I don't think it's ever happened to me.
You terrible bear.
Yeah, the scene at the cemetery was, well, there were several really central scenes to the character. And, but this one had an added pressure in that at the end of it, Eli walks up to Nina and says, "You were brilliant, baby." So, and I knew I had to, you know, break down a lot. And Richard did something so Richard, but so incredible, is he hid Peter from me. You know, when you have a scene like that, or at least when I do, the buildup is incredible. Not only do I have to be brilliant, not only do I have to be an old lady, not only do I have to act in front of all the other actors pretending to be the crew, plus the real crew, plus I have to do this in front of Peter O'Toole. Where's Peter O'Toole? Is he going to judge me too? And I was looking all around, no Peter O'Toole.
I think Richard had said to me, would you mind being a discreet presence? As I think Barbara is a little bit nervous about this particular moment. And I think, I can't remember exactly about that, but I could have appeared at the end. He said, well, you know, when she's got it right, I'll just give you a tap. I don't know where I was. Crouched behind an apple box or something.
I did the scene a few takes, and we just rehearsed it up to the light crashing.
Yeah, I know I'm ridiculous, huh? But you laugh without knowing anything. You would buy a plastic wig for a man of such a... From President Wilson, from the President of the United States. Her heroism, to me, for sheltering him. I sheltered him to be with him. He was my beloved.
Senora, please.
Oh, God.
Cut it!
We did a few takes, and all of a sudden, it happened. And it's what I pray for as an actor, and it's what I call plugging in. It's just all of a sudden it's real, and all of a sudden it's really happening. And in that take, you can never make a mistake. It's just there, it's the truth. And that take happened. And at the end of it, and I'm crying, and I remember this so well. I remember looking up, and my focus was soft because I was crying, and I look up, and there I see Peter sauntering toward me with this look on his face.
Yeah, and she did, and she got it right. And one knew. I don't think Richard even said go in. I just went in.
Thank you, my baby. Thank you.
And he came up to me and said, "Baby, you were brilliant." And all that was unrehearsed. Jumping into his arms and wrapping my legs around him, all that was unrehearsed. All that was real. All that was and it was Richard who staged that for me. That when I plugged in, when that moment would happen, that's when then he let Peter come out. And it was so beautiful. It was so great.
Yes, to condemn manipulation entirely is, of course, silly. There's a certain amount of gentle shoving in the right direction. Yes, I can accept that.
So, what about Barbara?
The dream girl. Well, we are doing a picture about illusion and reality. And there is certainly nothing more illusory in our lives than the romantic part. Barbara is a personification of the face across a crowded room, the dream girl. She's also one hell of an actress. But you know these things about her if you've ever watched her. What you might not know, unless you've met her, is that she's also a very intelligent, well-read, well-informed, thoughtful person. The dream girl, believe it or not, is an intellectual.
What's the story? How did you get this role?
Well, I got it through the regular processes of, auditioning and having agents call and all that stuff. It was at a time when, at that time, I think I had never played a woman. I think I'd only played girl roles up till then. And I also was looking for, as I still do, scripts I hadn't seen before, movies I hadn't seen before. And when I got this script, I could not believe my eyes as I turned the pages. I didn't know where it was going. I was constantly surprised. I couldn't figure out whether it was a comedy or a drama. I love not being able to know. At the end, when the deep, dark secret is revealed, I just burst out in laughter. I kept having these big, physical, visceral responses to this script. Couldn't believe my eyes. And then I meet Richard, who is one of the most unique people I've ever known, and one of the most charming and delightful, and just like this script. And I wanted to do it so much, I couldn't tell you. And also because the role, as an actor, I've always wanted variety, and there was so much variety within this one role, in this one movie. I was dying to get this part. And so I auditioned and did all that stuff, and Richard takes his time, and there are all these financial problems. I wasn't bankable, of course. And finally I got offered something else. And I called him up on the phone and said the truth, which is that I really want to do your film, but if you're not going to cast me, you must tell me, because I need to do this other film then. Yours is the one I want to do. And he said, give me a half hour. So I'm waiting. You can imagine that half hour. Finally, the phone rings, and a voice on the end of the phone says, "Is Nina Franklin there?" And first I screamed, and he said, "Be careful, don't walk into walls and things." That night I walked into a wall. But it just was such a great way to give me the part, "Is Nina Franklin there?" I just thought that was great.